In recent months, British Airways, one of the world's most respected airlines, has faced mounting operational challenges linked to a fleet it once promoted as the future of long-haul travel. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner. What's behind the sudden disruptions? Are these isolated technical blips or signs of deeper issues with one of Boeing's most important aircraft programs? Let's break down the facts. On June 15, 2025, British Airways flight BA35, operating a Boeing 7878, took off from London Heathrow bound for Chennai, India. Barely 15 minutes into the journey, the flight crew noticed a fault with the aircraft's wing flaps. Flaps play a critical role during takeoff and landing, extending to provide extra lift at low speeds and retracting for fuel-efficient cruising. In this case, the flaps failed to retract fully, creating excess drag and limiting the aircraft's ability to climb or cruise safely. Following standard safety procedures, the crew leveled off at 15,000 feet, entered a holding pattern, and dumped fuel over designated areas to reduce landing weight. After about 90 minutes in the air, the aircraft returned safely to Heathrow without injury to the 214 people on board. British Airways confirmed the return was precautionary, emphasizing that passenger safety was never compromised. The aircraft returned to Heathrow as a standard precaution after reports of a technical issue, a BA spokesperson told reporters. Maintenance teams grounded the jet pending further inspection. While the BA35 incident made headlines, it is not the only technical challenge affecting British Airways' Dreamliner fleet this year. Since late 2024, British Airways has struggled with a separate but equally disruptive issue: a shortage of Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engines and key spare parts. The Trent 1000, one of two engine options for the Boeing 787, has been a source of headaches for airlines worldwide due to premature wear on turbine blades and durability problems with several critical components. At times, up to 6 of British Airways' 41 Dreamliners have been grounded simultaneously, awaiting engine maintenance or parts deliveries. This represents roughly 15% of the airline's 787 fleet. The impact on passengers has been significant. In December 2024, British Airways announced the suspension of its Heathrow-Abu Dhabi route for the entire 2025 summer season. The airline cited extended delays in engine overhauls and spare part deliveries from Rolls-Royce as the main reason for the suspension. Further cuts followed. British Airways temporarily reduced flights on high-profile routes like London to New York from Gatwick, Doha, Bangkok, and Kuala Lumpur. The airline also delayed the launch of new long-haul services that were planned for 2025. In response, BA has worked to minimize disruption, offering passengers full refunds, rebookings on alternative flights, and in some cases deploying larger aircraft like Boeing 777s on routes normally served by Dreamliners. A BA spokesperson described the situation as frustrating and emphasized that the airline is working closely with Rolls-Royce to resolve the engine shortages as quickly as possible. To understand the root cause, we need to look beyond British Airways. The Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engine, used by multiple airlines operating Boeing 787s, has been under the industry spotlight since 2016. Early problems emerged when Japan's All Nippon Airways discovered premature blade cracking and corrosion in their 787 fleet. Since then, airlines including Virgin Atlantic, Air New Zealand, and even Lufthansa, a relatively new Dreamliner customer, have reported engine reliability issues. Rolls-Royce has acknowledged the problems and has implemented design improvements over time, including blade redesigns and new turbine materials. However, a global shortage of replacement engines and spare parts continues to affect airline operations. In November 2024, Thai Airways, another major Dreamliner operator, publicly criticized Rolls-Royce over extended overhaul times, with one airline executive describing the situation as unsustainable. British Airways, for its part, has echoed similar concerns but continues to express confidence in its partnership with Rolls-Royce while urging faster resolution. Importantly, British Airways is not alone in facing 787-related challenges. The grounding and operational limits resulting from the Trent 1000 shortage have affected airlines across Asia, Europe, and Oceania. While some airlines like ANA and Lufthansa have taken a more proactive stance on maintenance planning, British Airways' decision to suspend key routes highlights how thin operational margins have become. The problem extends beyond engines. Ongoing supply chain constraints and backlogs in maintenance capacity worldwide have compounded the delays. Airlines that rely heavily on the 787 like British Airways are feeling the pressure most acutely. As of mid-2025, British Airways continues to work towards restoring full Dreamliner operations. Newer 787s, including pending 787-10 deliveries, remain on order, but their entry into service could also be affected if the engine supply crisis continues. For passengers and industry observers alike, the key question remains: can British Airways weather this storm of technical and supply challenges? Or will the Dreamliner, once a symbol of innovation, become a lingering operational headache? Only time and engineering solutions will tell. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner was designed to redefine long-haul air travel. With its lightweight composite fuselage, advanced aerodynamics, and up to 20% better fuel efficiency compared to older models, it promised airlines lower operating costs and passengers a quieter, more comfortable experience. However, as British Airways' recent struggles have shown, operational reality has not always matched the initial dream. The challenges facing BA's Dreamliner fleet are part of a much larger global story about the 787's reliability record, especially when paired with Rolls-Royce's Trent 1000 engines. The Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engine, one of two available engine types for the Boeing 787, has been the source of widespread industry frustration since 2016. It started with ANA, the largest 787 operator at the time. ANA detected early signs of corrosion and cracking in intermediate pressure turbine blades within its Trent 1000 engines. This unexpected degradation forced ANA to ground several aircraft and launch an extensive maintenance program. In the years that followed, the problem expanded. Other airlines operating Trent 1000-powered 787s, including Virgin Atlantic, Air New Zealand, Norwegian Air Shuttle, and British Airways, began reporting similar durability issues, leading to unplanned engine removals and flight cancellations. Rolls-Royce developed redesigned blades and introduced performance improvement packages, known as Package C and later Package 10. Yet despite these technical fixes, durability shortfalls in other engine modules soon emerged, shifting the maintenance bottleneck from one section of the engine to another. Unlike ANA or Lufthansa, British Airways' reliance on the 787 grew rapidly over the past decade as part of its fleet modernization strategy. With 41 Dreamliners in its fleet and more 787-10s on order, BA lacked the level of aircraft type diversity that airlines like Lufthansa or Emirates enjoy. Furthermore, BA's route network structure, heavily focused on long-haul destinations out of London, means that losing several wide-body jets to maintenance at the same time has an outsized impact on schedules. As a result, BA made difficult decisions. Suspend Abu Dhabi flights for an entire season, reduce Gatwick, New York flights, delay launches to Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur, decrease frequencies to Doha and some US routes. By early 2025, the airline admitted that these decisions were driven largely by the engine shortage, not by demand weakness. British Airways says it remains committed to the Dreamliner, pointing to the aircraft's fuel efficiency and passenger comfort benefits. However, internal planning documents seen by industry analysts suggest that BA is now building more schedule flexibility into its future route planning, including keeping older 777s operational longer than originally intended. The airline also continues to push Rolls-Royce for faster engine turnarounds and remains in close communication with Boeing on overall 787 reliability improvements. With summer 2025 in full swing and peak travel demand rising, BA's priority is clear: keep as many Dreamliners flying as possible while minimizing customer disruption. For over a decade, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner symbolized the future of commercial aviation. Lightweight, fuel-efficient, and packed with cutting-edge technology. But as operational challenges accumulate for airlines like British Airways, attention has turned toward a deeper, more sensitive question. Are there underlying manufacturing or design issues with the 787 program? This concern has been amplified by the tragic crash of Air India flight AI-171 in June 2025, the first fatal accident involving a Boeing 787. On June 12, 2025, Air India flight AI-171, a Boeing 7878, took off from Ahmedabad, India, bound for London Heathrow. Just minutes after departure, the aircraft suffered a sudden and catastrophic loss of altitude, crashing into a building near the airport. 241 of the 242 people on board died, along with 19 people on the ground. The crash marked a grim milestone, the first ever fatal hull loss for the Dreamliner and commercial passenger service. Initial speculation focused on external factors like pilot error, weather, or bird strike. However, early findings from AAIB quickly ruled out these possibilities. According to leaked preliminary reports, the crew reported a total loss of thrust moments after takeoff. The aircraft's ram air turbine, RAT, deployed automatically, a backup system triggered only during complete electrical and hydraulic failures. There were no indications of fuel contamination or sabotage as of the latest update. As of now, investigators are focusing on the aircraft's fuel delivery system, engine control units, and electrical systems. Importantly, the aircraft was equipped with General Electric GEnx engines, not the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000. Boeing, the FAA, the USNTSB, and GE are all participating in the investigation. While it remains too early to identify a definitive cause, the accident has inevitably reignited scrutiny of Boeing's manufacturing quality control, especially in the wake of multiple whistleblower reports over the past 5 years. The Boeing 787 program has faced several manufacturing-related controversies even before the AI-171 crash. 2013 lithium-ion battery fires. Within its first 2 years of service, the 787 fleet was globally grounded for 3 months after 2 separate battery fire incidents. Boeing responded with a redesigned battery enclosure system, and no similar events have occurred since. 2019-2021 fuselage gap defects. In 2019, Boeing engineers discovered fuselage joint defects in multiple 787 airframes. Some of the composite fuselage sections had gaps or shimming outside allowable tolerance levels. The FAA subsequently imposed strict production oversight, leading to a 15-month delivery freeze from late 2020 to mid-2022. 2024 whistleblower allegations, the Salapur testimony. In April 2024, Boeing engineer Sam Salapur testified before the U.S. Congress, alleging that Dreamliner fuselage sections were being forcibly fitted together using excessive force on the assembly line. Salapur described what he called the Tarzan effect, where mechanics had to physically jump on fuselage sections to force alignment of structural components. He warned that this practice could lead to undetectable micro-deformations in the composite materials, potentially shortening the aircraft's lifespan or compromising long-term safety margins. Boeing strongly rejected these claims, stating that exhaustive testing, including fatigue testing on early-build 787 airframes, shows no evidence of structural weakness or premature wear. The FAA, however, has not taken the matter lightly. As of mid-2025, the FAA has ordered enhanced inspections for in-service 787s. Boeing must submit detailed engineering data on structural tolerances and assembly practices. FAA officials have stated publicly that they are monitoring Boeing's production lines more closely than at any time since the 737 MAX grounding. In addition to manufacturing allegations, the FAA recently mandated that Boeing cannot self-certify airworthiness on newly built 787s without FAA inspector presence. This policy, first introduced after the fuselage gap issues in 2021, remains in place. Moreover, in the wake of the Air India crash and other recent incidents such as the BA35 flap malfunction, regulators have intensified oversight across both production quality and maintenance documentation for Dreamliners worldwide. The FAA's current stance is clear. Until Boeing fully satisfies regulators regarding both quality and safety processes, oversight will remain tight. For airlines like British Airways, these manufacturing concerns add a layer of uncertainty. Even though the BA35 incident in June 2025 was a routine, well-managed technical diversion unrelated to structural issues, the cumulative effect of recurring 787 technical stories in the media has started to erode customer confidence. Some British Airways passengers have taken to social media, expressing nervousness about flying on 787. However, aviation safety experts and regulators stress that statistically, the Dreamliner remains among the safest aircraft in the sky, with millions of safe flight hours logged globally. British Airways continues to fly its Dreamliners while following all manufacturer and regulatory maintenance directives. As of July 2025, there have been no safety-related grounding orders issued against the global 787 fleet following the Air India crash. In public statements, Boeing has expressed condolences to families affected by the Air India tragedy and reaffirmed its commitment to supporting the investigation. The company maintains that the 787 meets all global safety certification standards. In response to manufacturing concerns, Boeing has increased internal quality audits, slowed 787 production rates to allow more inspection time, hired additional engineering staff for assembly, and quality control committed to open cooperation with global regulators. Separately, Rolls-Royce continues working on solutions for the Trent 1000 fleet, aiming to clear maintenance backlogs and reduce engine turnaround times for airlines like British Airways. The coming months will be crucial for the Boeing 787 program. The final report on the Air India AI-171 crash will likely determine whether additional safety directives or modifications are necessary. Rolls-Royce's success, or failure, in resolving Trent 1000 shortages will affect airlines' operational reliability. Boeing's ability to demonstrate improved manufacturing quality will shape regulatory trust and future airline purchasing decisions. For British Airways, the immediate focus remains on minimizing passenger disruption and restoring schedule stability. Behind the scenes, both the airline and the wider industry continue to weigh an important question. Is the Dreamliner still the long-term answer for global aviation? Or does this aircraft's legacy need to be redefined? For now, the skies remain open, but watchful eyes are everywhere.